Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Silicon Cider podcast. Uh, I'm here to say hello to Scott, and we'll get underway. It's been a crazy week. I'm sure as a reporter, he's been incredibly buried in work this week.
Well, hello, Michael. And yeah, there's a lot to talk about. Fire away.
So, did you stay up all night watching the vote on the economic bill and Hakeem Jeffries' 8 hour speech, 12-hour speech?
I did not, but as we know, you and I are speaking at the end of business on Thursday, and it passed. The big
It
budget
passed.
bill has passed. So
Nailed
we
it.
will, yeah, we'll see how that all rolls out in the days and weeks and months and years to come.
Yeah, a lot of promises were made and a lot of claims were made by both sides. Let's see what pans out. Um, I'm intrigued. A year or two ago, when the Biden administration, it was all about technology and building up the tech infrastructure and all that. Did you see anything in this bill about technology, about
You know,
supporting AI or anything like that?
Not so directly. You remember the CHIP Act came in earlier. A lot of what Trump was doing for and against the technology industry has been played out in Twitter. I do know that, we talked about the EV subsidies that are part of the bill, getting rid of those EV subsidies. That's one of the things Elon Musk was complaining about.
I want to get to that too in
Oh,
depth.
okay.
But yeah, the EV thing was the big part, at least the technology part of this gigantic omnibus bill.
Right. And then there is, I believe there are things about AI and whether or not to regulate AI and will the states be able to regulate AI. And that to me was a little unclear exactly where that shakes out. But it seems like the battle now will be how much AI regulation will be in the hands of the government versus the hands of companies and local legislators. And that's going to be a big battle as AI continues to be the dominant force in technology right now.
Now, the market had a wild week, 4 consecutive days of record numbers, record jumps, especially the NASDAQ had big jumps, but the S&P 500, I mean, it's on fire right now. The Dow's kind of lingering, but NASDAQ and the S&P are setting new records. I mean, I don't know what this means. I mean, do they believe that the big beautiful whatever bill is going to make the economy stronger? Is it about employment numbers, new jobs added? Because it was predicted at 110,000. I think it came in at 178,000, which suggests that maybe the economy is not in bad a shape as we thought. But there seems to be a disconnect between Main Street and Wall Street about how people feel about the state of the economy.
Right. And as there have been for a long time. I mean, right. S&P setting records, NASDAQ back above 20,000. As you and I speak, the Dow closes nearly 45,000. I mean, these are all-time highs. And I think part of it is those who invest and have money are happy with the big bill because it gives them tax breaks.
Yeah.
I think those who invest are happy with the latest job numbers that came out on Thursday because it shows strength and growth. And despite concerns that a lot of the tariffs would slow things down, we had a tariff deal with Vietnam. There's rumors of deals coming with China, even a minor deal, sort of a sideline deal with Canada. And so it's, full steam ahead for the overall economy, despite a lot of people who will be hurt by this bill, those who have a lot of money to invest and those who are involved in, say, cryptocurrency are very happy about this and are, already being rewarded.
Well, let's talk about, you brought up several different things. Let's talk about them in turn. Crypto. Uh, there seems to be a consensus out there that this administration is full speed ahead on supporting crypto. We know Trump's, spoken at their convention and all that. But the big deal this week is Peter Thiel and a group of unnamed billionaires. I think we can guess because Peter Thiel, he sets off as many billionaires as he's welcome to as friendship. but they're forming a new bank specifically designed for crypto, AI startups, and defense, and I guess manufacturing too. And they're saying it's designed to fill the void created by the disintegration of Silicon Valley Bank. It sounds more targeted than, SVB really liked startups and they were really good about supporting them, but they were pretty, wide open about who they supported. This seems to be a lot more targeted.
I agree. SVB supported a lot of startups, supported a lot of VC funds, but also companies who just wanted to, make sure they made payroll, largely tech, but it was pretty broad based. Whereas you're right, a lot of the crypto things seem very focused on a specific type of investor. We're starting to see a lot of companies, the micro strategies, the blocks of it all, who are saying we really want these crypto funds, and we know who we're targeting. The U.S. House of Representatives, just a couple hours before you and I are speaking, declared July 14th through 18th Crypto Week. And that's right around the corner. I mean, imagine an actual federal crypto week. Is this not acceptance? I don't know what is.
Are they going to have a flag?
I don't exactly know what the activities will be during crypto week, but I'll be watching them. And it's just part of this whole, not just acceptance, but really pushing of crypto on the federal level. It used to be such a small niche thing, and now it's national and international.
Yeah, I mean, 18 months ago, congressmen didn't seem to know what the hell they were talking about when it came to crypto. And now they're embracing it as the future.
But I'll push back and say the second part, yes, they're embracing it as the future. The first part, I'm not entirely sure they know what they're talking about yet.
Okay, by the way, the newest Silicon Valley Bank is going to be called Errorbor, which is, I guess, the mountain in Lord of the Rings. Kind of a very Silicon Valley sort of name choice.
Yeah, I believe Palantir was named after something in that world. Yeah.
Okay. On other matters, yeah, we talked about Vietnam. Interesting. Vietnam cut a deal. I guess it's just about the first of the big tariff deals, and it's going to be at 20%. And if you consider that Vietnam is already taking away a lot of the manufacturing from China, and China is still at 50%. I mean, this could be kind of a land. Is this going to be, first of all, is it going to push China to cut a deal? I mean, China is already looking askance at their old enemy and thinking, we're going to lose to these guys if we keep this situation up. You think China's going to make a move? And also, at 20%, is that going to raise, do you think they've raised prices on goods coming out of Vietnam?
The short answer is yeah, I think it'll raise prices on goods coming out of Vietnam, but not nearly as much as the original Trump proposed tariff.
Yeah.
And as far as the China deal, I think that's part of what he's trying to do is put a spotlight on a country like Vietnam that we never really thought of in terms of tariffs. But we know a lot of manufacturing comes out of there, whether it's Nike shoes or a lot of the clothing we wear, increasingly electronics like Apple iPhones. And the more that comes out of there, the more pressure is put on China. And so I think this is yet another salvo in the president's attempt to try to bring China to the table to come up with some sort of a new deal.
Yeah, I noticed Trump also mentioned the possibility of future Southeast Asian countries getting on board with this tariff thing. And I think he mentioned Malaysia as one of them and Thailand as another. I mean, it seems like he's trying to do a bracket around China, you know?
Perhaps there's so much manufacturing done in China, and I don't know how much will go to these other countries. But, to your point, if Apple does say we're moving some of the iPhone production out of China into Vietnam, that's fairly significant. And where Apple goes, as you know, other manufacturers follow.
Okay, some other Silicon Valley stuff. I don't know if we talked about this last week, but apparently Mark Zuckerberg has put together a hit list of 100 of the top AI scientists in the valley, and he's going to go after every one of them, trying to recruit them for vast sums of money. I mean, sometimes over $100 million, I hear. Uh, Basically, to get Meta back on his feet with AI, that it's fallen behind, and this is a Hail Mary, a very expensive Hail Mary. AI experts are in such demand now. Do you think that Meta, being an older firm, is going to be able to really recruit that many people when they can just go to a hot new startup and get tons and tons of stock options?
That's been the way that companies almost always in the past have done it. Oh, there's a hot new technology. We're behind the curve. Let's buy a hot startup that can give us that talent. Meta seems to be going about it in a different way with AI. These numbers are eye-watering. They make NBA salaries look paltry, and nothing makes NBA salaries look paltry. It's just amazing to think. But then if you take a step back and say, all right, I don't know if we're at $100 million for a bonus. Facebook is denying that, by the way, but anywhere near these numbers, think about if you're a hot shot at a startup like OpenAI or Anthropic, Perplexity, and you stick with it until your IPO, you're going to likely make a pile of money if AI stays this hot. So if you're Facebook, granted, Facebook does great on the stock market, but to someone just arriving, the option price would be really, really high. And so to lure someone away from a pre-IPO startup that is absolutely killing it, I imagine you have to take away that IPO day temptation. And the only way to really do that is with a gigantic check. And it seems like that's Meta's strategy. They're not going to buy OpenAI, probably not Anthropic, but instead of just saying, hey, let's snag one of these companies, they're trying to snag some of the top AI scientists. And I think they have to pay them.
Yeah, but historically, big companies trying to buy their way into a market by recruiting folks, it tends to be a counter incentive to those people, that they're not lean and hungry anymore. They got their big paycheck, and they're treated like gods, and they're never productive again. I mean, you
I
think,
wonder, yeah, I wonder if you're a Meta employee, and there are a whole lot of them that have worked there for years and worked hard, and yeah, they've been rewarded. But then to get that memo from Zuckerberg saying, hey, here's the super intelligence team. What does that say to everybody else that's not on the super intelligence team?
hey,
Um,
big L on your
right.
forehead.
I mean, I admit I work with a lot of people that are way smarter than me. In my own family, everybody's smarter than I am. Some of us are used to it. But to be a Meta employee and to think I'm a real hotshot, and then to get a memo saying, hey, meet the really smart people, is got to be a little bit galling.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think it would, if the economy was just a little bit better, I would think you'd get some people leaving over something like that, over an insult like that.
Who knows?
Anyway, okay, next. The US has decided to lift the curbs, the software curbs on chip design companies, which is a really big deal. I mean, it's basically, when you get down to it, the U.S. companies, the four biggest ones in the world, Siemens, Synopsys, Cadence, and I don't remember the other one, but uh, those are the guys who put together all the software that helps design all those cutting edge chips at the state of the art. And now, at least today, Synopsys and Cadence stock both went up 5%. So it's a big deal. I mean, but it was May 23rd when they announced the embargo, and now they've lifted it. I'm not sure what the motivation was. I think it was probably another chip on the table with China.
It may be, and you're right about the stock prices today. I was checking Synopsys and Cadence just really going back up, and they had that hit when the previous announcement was made. And this feels like it's the difference between America and China and the negotiating ways are still they're feeling each other out over all this technology. Nvidia obviously right in the middle of it. Companies like AMD, both of them saying, well, they're taking these hits because of the tariffs and because of the weird, almost Cold War business relationship that the U.S. and China have. And maybe this is just a little bit of a warming sign or something.
Here you go. You're not going to be able to design to manufacture it at at the cutting edge anyway, China. You know, that's being done in Taiwan. We can't even do it very well. But if you want to try to design it, here's your tools. We're giving them
Right,
back.
right.
Okay. Now, as the owner of a Tesla, how did you feel about the end of the 7,500 EV tax credit? I guess it starts in September.
I have seen this come and go before. I bought my car, gosh, 7 years ago, and it was a real big chunk of change. I mean, I bought the cheapest model you can get, and so the 7,500 plus 25 from California, I mean, it paid for a lot of the car. I was very surprised. And all of a sudden, you saw a lot of people taking advantage of that and putting more EVs on the road. And it's a great incentive. California does it or used to do it for solar panels and things like that. It's the kind of thing that really makes change. And I'm sad if it goes, but it's gone before and come back. If this is really the end of it, it's America waving the white flag and saying we just don't care as much about clean energy, or we don't care enough about our communities that get hit with a lot of pollution. And so we're going to all but disincentivize cleaning the air around us, which, it doesn't make any sense. You're discouraging innovation. You're even discouraging American manufacturing. A lot of solar stuff and EVs are made in America, and you're saying, let's discourage that. So that's counterintuitive to everything that President Trump campaigned on. It just seems to be a slap in the face to what is seen as a liberal policy, as opposed to an innovative, strong capitalist policy.
Okay, so speaking of incentives, are you incentivized to trade in your Tesla and get a new one between now and the end of September? I mean,
Oh, because of the tax credit?
is the money difference enough to uh, have you made
No, no, because of the all the other money that would be involved. I
it?
need to make a little more of the initial purchase to keep going. I don't buy cars that often. But I see what you mean, and I wouldn't be surprised if, for all of the complaining that Elon Musk is doing about this, he sort of benefits in the short term from it, because it is likely that a lot of people will, if they're on the fence right now about owning an EV, might jump in and do it now.
Yeah,
But an
I've,
incentive.
I've read quotes from analysts saying, if you've ever thought about getting a Tesla, do it right now.
Right. And in the short term, that may put more Teslas on the road. They could certainly use it. And all EVs, I think the best thing about the EV market right now, and you see it in declining Tesla sales because of competitors that are making good, strong EV cars, and good for them. The more on the road, the better. And I think that's very positive. I just worry that we're disincentivizing what is a cleaner way to travel because of this budget bill. And that would be too bad.
I mean, I've considered it. I mean, I'm working on a book right now, and I'm with the entrepreneur. He told me that, in fact, I was on the phone with him. He was being driven by his Tesla from Pasadena to his house in Mountain View. He never touched the steering wheel over that entire distance, and he said people, with all that big news about self-driving cars a few years ago, and they got negative publicity and all that. But he said that in the meantime, Moore's Law, Tesla seems to have perfected it. That, he's even thinking about maybe going on a trip around the country and just, sticking in the next location and having Tesla drive me. He said it actually anticipated lane changes better than he did. It got in the right lane for exits. He said, and it actually accelerated and decelerated faster in response to the situation around him than he ever could. I mean, my
Look,
mind was open.
yeah, there are a lot of people very happy with their self-driving technology. I would just tell your friend to pay close attention while he's driving.
Yeah.
Even the recent robo-taxi rollout, which was very minimal for Tesla, had those robo-taxis making mistakes. And this was in a very limited trial in Texas. So it's still nascent for that company. They're still trying to catch up in incremental degrees to, say, Waymo. But again, the idea that robo-taxis are out there and they're getting better is, I also think, a positive sign.
Well, another positive sign for Tesla is after a fairly rough first half of this year, uh, their Q2 deliveries were higher than anticipated, which got made the stock rally the last couple of days. So, at a time when there's this negative news about the tax credit, Tesla's actually doing pretty good. It's doing better.
Well, right. Their deliveries are down, their sales are down again. But beating expectations is one thing, but 14% decline is a pretty big decline. And it just shows that there are competitors out there
I
that
was gonna say,
are
isn't that
ramping
comparable?
things up.
I mean, wouldn't you expect a 14% decline when you see this many EVs out there on the road in comparison to the last couple of years?
Yes, I think the other alternatives are part of this story. I also think you just can't overlook the brand damage that Elon Musk has done. That is a lot of it. I hear that all the time here in the Bay Area, where you see Teslas everywhere, but
Right.
people are looking elsewhere simply because of the guy in charge.
Yeah, and the worst thing he could have done was anger basically his installed base out there, and then turn around. If you're going to side with the president of the United States, well, you continue siding with him, but attacking him on in X, you've now not only lost half the country, you've lost all the country because the first half isn't going to forgive you for a long time, and now the new half, the MAGA half, is pissed off at you. I mean, he should just, I know it's impossible to ask this of him. You know him, I know him, to just shut up and stick to his business, and lay low for a while.
Uh, he just needs too much drama to do that, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I think he's a drama junkie, ultimately.
Yeah.
Okay, last item. The iPhone 17 Pro Max. Have you read about the battery power on this thing? I mean, I worry when they get this much power, it's going to explode in your pocket. But the iMac 11 Pro was basically, I think, 12 hours. And then the iPhone 17 Pro Max is 35 hours of battery life plus. It may be even more than that because of the new battery technology. Gordon Moore always said that the weakness of all this would be battery life. As his technology, semiconductor technology moved to mobile, there wasn't enough battery power in these things to make them really useful. But another miracle, just like the history of memory, now the history of battery life, they keep pulling rabbits out of their hat, the engineers in that field. And they're keeping up. I mean, 35 hours is amazing.
Well, just remember, I mean, first of all, these are rumors. iPhones are always surrounded by rumors. We've also seen, and I put that in air quotes, the ultra thin iPhone, which I would love to have. It's one of those take my money things. But it's early. These are rumors. That said, we've seen improved battery technology. We were just talking about EVs. We've seen that. And we've seen phones, laptops, tablets all get better battery performance. And Gordon Moore was right. That's very important. And I think that's a real positive development. And you see a lot of investment in battery innovation. And that is key when we are a society that lives on our gadgets, even drives around in battery powered gadgets.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, the curve isn't quite the curve of Moore's law, but the improvements in battery powers over the last few years is, a pretty steep curve. Yeah, I think it's amazing. Um, Bully for Apple, they pulled this one off. Okay, that's is it for the day this week. Everybody have a happy 4th of July, the beginning of the 250th anniversary of our country. Uh, and you can catch Scott on X, on Facebook, and obviously weeknights on NBC Bay Area, and you can catch me here. And Next Wednesday, I'm going to be again on the BBC. So have a great holiday weekend. Uh, Ignite all the fireworks you can before they outlaw them all. Take care. See you soon.